It feels like every game released today is a remake. And honestly, people are getting tired of it. I think as gamers, it's easy to point the finger at developers and accuse them of trying to cash in on our nostalgia. But after recently playing through Silent Hill 2 and its remake, my perspective on this has completely changed. Some classic games deserve a remake. The Silent Hill 2 remake completely blew me away, so you can only imagine how excited I was to play through the original. I recently finished it, and all I can say is, wow, that was not what I expected. The remake of this game changed it in some significant ways. Now, before getting too far into this comparison, I want to make it very clear that I respect the heck out of the original Silent Hill 2. The ambition that this team had in making a game with such rich storytelling, deep emotion, and complex themes while being limited to the PlayStation 2, it's inspiring. That being said, there is a clear difference between the immersion that's offered in the remake compared to the original. The most striking difference is in dialogue and character models. Every character in the original game has a neck like a friggin' giraffe, and they all sound like robots reading off a teleprompter.
You said your wife Mary was dead, right?
Yes. She was ill.
And honestly, it's kind of funny. And the developers definitely leaned into this humor with some of their dialogue choices.
This town is full of monsters. How can you sit there and eat pizza?
But Silent Hill isn't supposed to be funny. It is gripping. It is terrifying. It makes you pay for your past sins. And the remake forces you to feel this the whole way through. The voice performances are captivating. The character models have grit. You get no breaks from the dread that is Silent Hill throughout the entire game. And I don't think that's an accident. I think the combat is another area where the remake is able to improve immersion over the original. Now, I know this might be a hot take, but I think that the combat in the remake is almost perfect at creating immersion. The unpredictable nature of attack patterns and enemy design creates another element that's difficult to piece together in the world of Silent Hill. And it makes you feel like you're right there with James. Compare that to the original. And can you even call this combat? I think we can all agree that even if it isn't perfect, the combat in the remake is a huge upgrade. Now, the one area the remake failed to improve on was the pacing. The remake took me 3 times longer to complete than the original game, and this might sound weird to say, but it was too long. Now, much of what made the remake longer was incredibly high-quality content that did increase your immersion. Areas like Brookhaven Hospital feel so much more real when your experience isn't. But there are also areas of the remake, like the upside-down version of the apartment, and long areas in the overworld traveling from one dungeon to the next that just feel a little forced. And I think this happens because games cost so much to produce nowadays that the developers have to find some way to justify a $60 price tag. It would be hard to pay that for a 10-hour game, but I would be happy to do it. I would much prefer to pay the same amount for a more streamlined experience. Silent Hill thrives when it's telling its story. When pacing is thrown off by bloat just to add playtime, you definitely feel it. And this is the main area that I think the original game is far superior in. And with all this being said, I by no means think that this remake replaces the original. But I do think that the remake is a more immersive experience. Playing through the original Silent Hill feels like looking at a cave painting. You can see the brilliance even though the tools were primitive. But remakes give those same artists a modern canvas. Also, remaking these games improves access to players without old hardware or access to emulation. And who doesn't want that? Because of the Silent Hill 2 remake, I am really excited for the release of the Silent Hill 1 remake and the newly leaked Resident Evil 1 remake. Apparently, both of those games are supposed to be dropping in the next few years, and I will definitely be playing them. But I'm curious your thoughts. Do you think that remakes improve classic games? Or should some games just be left alone? If you enjoyed this comparison, feel free to check out my full review of the Silent Hill 2 remake, where I talk about why I think it might be one of the best horror games ever made. Thank you for watching, and as always, peace!